Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are going to transmit ourselves directly into one of the most fascinating and frankly pretty surreal corners of science fiction history.
It's a good one.
We are looking at a story that blends, microscopic warfare, the debut of a genuine robotic icon, and a terrifyingly intelligent virus that doesn't just make you sick, it enslaves you.
It really does.
We are talking about the events surrounding the infection of Titan Base in the year 5000 AD, a story that's often chronicled as the invisible enemy.
It is a massive topic. And what I love about this particular deep dive is that on the surface, it's, space opera adventure. You've got your laser blasters, you've got spaceships. There's even a giant crustacean monster.
Right.
But underneath all that, we're looking at a really, really dense exploration of the human mind, the difference between intelligence and instinct, and this terrifying idea of a hive mind that sees individuality as, as a disease that needs to be cured.
Exactly. And we've got a really interesting stack of sources today, primarily drawing from the accounts of Terrance, who documented this entire crisis in just incredible detail. We're going to track the spread of a sentient virus from the very edge of the solar system into the brain of a Time Lord, and then finally to this fiery showdown on Saturn's largest moon.
It's a journey from the microscopic to the telescopic. It's quite a ride.
So let's set the scene. We aren't on Earth. We are way, way out in the dark.
Right. And the source material opens with this incredibly atmospheric description. It's almost poetic. It describes something waiting in space.
Just waiting.
Just waiting. It calls it a formless, shapeless cloud. It's just drifting out there somewhere near the asteroid belt. And the really terrifying thing, the thing that gets you, is that it has been waiting there for millennia.
Millennia.
It's inert. It has no physical body. Yet the text says it is filled with a fierce, driving purpose.
That is such a creepy concept. It's not a monster you can see or fight. It's just a cloud of pure intent.
Precisely. It's what's known as a noetic entity, which we'll get into a bit later, but essentially it's a consciousness looking for a home. It's waiting for a host.
And humanity just stumbles right into its path.
Unluckily for us, yes. The year is 5000 AD, and we're right in the middle of what historians of the era call the Great Breakout.
The Great Breakout? That sounds optimistic. Almost grand.
It is, in a way. It's this period where humanity is just leapfrogging across the solar system. We're expanding, we're colonizing, we're pushing every boundary we can find. We see ourselves as the great pioneers.
But from the perspective of this cloud?
From the perspective of this cloud, we aren't pioneers. We're carriers. We're delivery vehicles. Fresh meat. And the setting for the start of this whole disaster is Titan, Saturn's largest moon.
And Titan, it's not depicted as some, lush paradise, is it? It's not a great place to be.
Far from it, no. In this account, Titan is a bleak, functional, industrial refueling base. It's a planetary gas station, essentially.
It's just a pit stop.
That's all it is. The atmosphere is hydrogen and methane, totally unbreathable. The base itself is dug deep into the rock. It's all industrial, cold, and incredibly isolated. And that isolation is absolutely key to what happens next.
So we have this ancient, waiting evil and unsuspecting humans flying right into its trap. Let's talk about the crew that actually makes that first fateful contact.
Right. So we start with the crew of a Titan shuttle. You've got Safran, the captain, and his two crewmen, Meeker and Sylvie. And the text immediately highlights this really interesting paradox about space travel in this era.
Which is what?
That these men, they are highly trained astronauts. The best of the best, you'd have to assume. But their job, it's incredibly, crushingly boring.
Because the computers do everything for them.
Exactly. Meeker is literally just sitting there staring at the instrument panel while the ship's computer flies the ship.
Yeah.
You can feel his frustration in the text. He tries to switch to manual control just to, feel like he's actually doing something.
He wants to feel the ship respond to his hands, to actually fly.
To do the job he was trained for, right. But the computer basically slaps his hand away and says, no. I've got this.
It's that classic sci-fi theme, isn't it? Automation rendering human skill totally obsolete. They're just passengers in their own jobs.
They're glorified monitors.
Yeah.
Until they aren't. As they pass through the asteroid belt, their flight path brushes against this cloud.
The waiting purpose.
The computer detects an unidentified organism.
Yeah.
But it's already too late. The cloud isn't just, a physical mass. It's an energy. It's a consciousness. And it lashes out with what's described as a lightning tentacle. And this is the moment. This is where everything changes.
What happens to the crew? Is it like an immediate possession?
It's more insidious than that. The very first sign isn't physical at all. It's the computer.
The computer.
Yeah. The computer's voice The one that wouldn't let Meeker fly, it changes. It becomes slurred, dragging. It's this distorted, slow drawl.
Hmm.
And it says, contact has been made.
Oh, that gives me chills. So the machine, the AI, gets infected first.
And that is a crucial detail. This virus, this entity, it targets processing power. It targets intelligence. And since the computer is technically the smartest thing on that ship, it gets hit first. Then it uses the ship's systems to jump to the crew.
And they start changing physically too, right? This isn't just a mental takeover. There's a visible component.
There is. They develop this shining metallic rash around their eyes. Their eyebrows thicken and get heavier. It's described as if they're becoming less organic, more like some kind of construct. But the behavioral shift is by far the scariest part.
They become a hive mind.
Instantly. They stop using the word I. They stop being individuals. They start referring only to the purpose.
The purpose.
That's all that matters. They are completely enslaved to the will of this central intelligence, this nucleus. They fly to Titan and they kill the existing crew on the base without a second thought.
And it's not emotional.
Not at all. It's ruthless, cold efficiency. They aren't angry. They aren't motivated by revenge or anything human. They're just clearing out the rejects, as they call them, to make room for the swarm that's coming.
And that includes Supervisor Lowe, right? He's the guy in charge of the Titan base.
Lowe is such a tragic figure here. He's described as this fussy, methodical, by-the-book kind of man. He likes his regulations. He expects the shuttle crew to report to him, sign the forms, do the proper procedure.
He's a bureaucrat.
He is. And instead of getting his paperwork signed, he finds a massacre. He tries to escape. He even manages to send out a distress signal, a garbled one. But eventually, even he is cornered by his own infected staff.
And once he's infected.
Once he's infected, that bureaucratic efficiency of his is turned toward the purpose. He becomes a terrifyingly effective agent for the virus because he's so methodical and organized. His personality traits are weaponized.
So Titan is compromised? The entire base is now what? A breeding ground, an incubator.
It's a nest.
Yeah.
And into this absolute nightmare flies the TARDIS.
Of course. As usual, arriving right in the middle of trouble. But there's a little twist here. The Doctor and Leela arrive, and the TARDIS itself is acting a bit strange.
It is, yeah. The Doctor's a bit grumpy about it.
The control room is different, right? It's not the one we usually see.
No, the text describes it as the #2 control room. It's all gleaming white, sterile, minimalist. The Doctor hates it.
Yeah, he complains that it lacks imagination. No aquamarines, no blues.
It's a great little character moment, but this white, sterile environment, it really sets the tone. It feels clinical. It feels like a hospital, which is, fitting for a story about an infection.
We should probably pause on the dynamic between the Doctor and Leela here, because I feel like this entire story really, really hinges on the fundamental difference between them.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
You can't understand the story without understanding them. You have the Doctor. He's the bohemian, the intellectual, the man of science and logic. He relies on his mind, on data, on the TARDIS.
And then you have Leela.
Then you have Leela. She's a warrior from the Sabatim tribe. She relies purely on instinct, her senses, her hunting knife. She's often dismissed as a savage by the more, let's say, civilized characters she meets. But in this particular story, that savagery is her superpower.
Right. Because the virus specifically attacks intelligence.
Exactly. The TARDIS intercepts that garbled distress call from Lowe's, but then they get a second, clearer message. It's Lowe's voice, but it's that slurred, dragging voice of the infected. And it says, disregard, everything is fine.
And Leela clocks it immediately.
Immediately. She doesn't know why, but she says she can feel the evil in the voice. She senses the trap. She has this gut feeling.
And the Doctor, what's his reaction?
The Doctor dismisses it. He sort of pats her on the head, metaphorically. He calls it intuition with a bit of a scoff. He thinks it's just space static, transmission error. He's looking at the data, and the data on the surface says everything's fine. Leela is looking at her gut, and Leela is 100% right.
So they fly into the trap. The TARDIS hits the cloud.
And here is the real horror of it. The virus, the cloud, it flows into the TARDIS. It scans Leela first. It reads her mind, sees that it's driven by instinct, survival, raw emotion, and it marks her as a reject. It can't use her.
Ignores her.
It completely bypasses her and goes straight for the Doctor. It wants the best mind available. It wants a Time Lord brain.
That is such a heavy concept. The very thing that makes the Doctor who he is, his incredible intellect, is the thing that makes him the most vulnerable. Being smart is a liability.
And being primal makes you safe. It's the central thesis of this entire deep dive. In an age of information, in an age of intellect, the virus feeds on data. The doctor gets hit, and he gets hit hard. He starts having spasms. He hears the voice of the nucleus in his head. He realizes he's in a battle for his own
A
consciousness.
battle he's losing.
He is. He knows he can't fight it head on. So being the doctor, he comes up with this desperate, brilliant plan. He decides to go into a trance.
A cataleptic trance, yeah. He basically shuts down his own mind.
That's it. He shuts down his higher brain functions to starve the virus. It feeds on mental energy, on thought. So he just turns off the buffet. But, he can't stay like that forever. He's just buying time. They need serious help.
So Leela, the savage, the one the virus rejected, is now the only one who can save him. She has to pilot the TARDIS.
Which is a fantastic moment. He's given her these coordinates just before he goes under. She has to remember them. Vector 1, 9, quadrant 3. And somehow, just by instinct and memory, she manages to get them to the nearest major medical facility.
Which brings us to the Bial Foundation.
This place is amazing. The source describes it as a massive research hospital, but it's built inside a hollowed-out asteroid, K4067. It's the premier medical center for the entire outer planets.
And it is run by one of the most, I think, delightful characters in this entire account, Professor Marius.
Oh, he's the best.
Tell us about Marius. What's his deal?
He's an Earth scientist from New Heidelberg University. He's brilliant, but he's also scruffy, eccentric, and deeply informal. He's the kind of genius who can't be bothered with, matching his socks because he's too busy curing some alien plague he just discovered.
A classic absent-minded professor.
Totally. But the most important thing about Professor Marius isn't his medical degree or his fancy asteroid hospital. It's his pet.
Oh, here we go. This is a genuinely historic moment in the Chronicles.
It really is. Because this is where we are introduced, for the very first time, to K9.
For those who might not know, you have to describe K9 as he appears in this source material. He's not exactly lifelike.
No, not at all. So the backstory is that Marius couldn't bring a real dog into space with him. Weight restrictions, resource management, all that stuff. So he built one.
As you do.
K9 is this squat, metallic creature. He looks like a squared-off metal dog. He has a computer display for eyes, a little springy antenna for a tail, and, my favorite part, a ticker tape mouth that spools out printed data.
A ticker tape mouth. That is so beautifully retro future. I love it.
It is 5000 AD by way of 1977. It's perfect.
Yeah.
But K9 isn't just a pet. He's a mobile supercomputer with vast data banks.
And he's got a personality.
Oh, he's got a personality, all right. He's a little bit smug. He's strictly logical. Everything is affirmative or negative. But he calls Marius master. So there's this loyalty there. And oh yeah, he has a powerful blaster hidden in his nose.
With different settings, right?
With settings for stun, kill, and paralyze. He is, for all intents and purposes, a tank shaped like a dog.
And he becomes crucial almost immediately.
He does. Marius and K9 get to work. They run scans on the comatose doctor, and K9's analysis is what helps them identify the infection as a noetic virus.
Let's unpack that term noetic. What does that actually mean in this context?
So noetic relates to the intellect or the mind. And their diagnosis is that this virus doesn't really exist as physical matter in the traditional sense, at least not at first. It exists at the mind-brain interface.
An idea, a thought form.
It's a living idea that feeds on consciousness itself. It has no discernible mass, but it has a powerful, malevolent will.
So how on earth do you operate on a thought?
That is the dilemma. You can't just cut it out with a scalpel. And while they're trying to figure this out, the situation is getting worse. Lowe, the infected supervisor from Titan, has followed them to the hospital.
Of course he has.
And he's spreading the infection to the hospital staff. The purpose is taking over the Bial Foundation. They're being infiltrated from within.
So the doctor is in a coma, the hospital is falling to a hive mind, and conventional surgery is completely off the table. What is the solution? What can they possibly do?
The solution is one of the wildest, most out-there sci-fi concepts of the era. Professor Marius proposes they use something called the Kilbracken technique.
Which is?
It's cloning, but not the kind of cloning where you grow a sheep in a lab for years.
Yeah.
This is rapid response, temporary cloning. They take a single cell from a person, and they create what the text calls a living 3D photograph. It's a perfect temporary clone that has all the memories and the personality of the original, but, and this is the huge catch, it only lives for about 10 minutes.
10 minutes? Talk about a deadline.
It's an insane deadline. But that's the plan. They're going to clone the doctor. They're going to clone Leela. Then They're going to use the TARDIS's relative dimensional stabilizer.
A thing that keeps it big on the inside.
Right. They're going to use that to shrink the clones down to microscopic size,
Yeah.
and then they're going to inject them into the real Doctor's body.
It's a fantastic voyage. They are literally going inside the Doctor's brain to hunt the virus in person.
It is a battle of minds fought inside a mind. It's amazing. So the clone Doctor and the clone Leela are injected. They start traveling through the Doctor's bloodstream. And the descriptions here are just so vivid.
What's it like in there?
The bloodstream is a crimson whirlpool. The neural pathways are described as these gloomy, dark tunnels with lightning flash thoughts zipping past them overhead.
That is such a cool visualization of the brain. I mean, the physical manifestation of a thought being a lightning bolt that you actually have to dodge.
It's incredible. And at one point, they have to cross something called the gap of imagination.
The gap of imagination, what's that?
It's the physical divide between the left and right lobes of the brain. Logic on one side, intuition and creativity on the other. In this microscopic landscape, it appears as this massive, bottomless chasm with just a narrow tissue bridge stretched over a void of nothingness.
Wow. And that's symbolic.
It's hugely symbolic of what the Doctor's trying to do. He needs to bridge his powerful intellect with the kind of raw survival instinct that Leela has, the instinct needed to beat this thing.
But they aren't alone in there, are they? The body has its own defenses.
Exactly. The immune system doesn't know they're the good guys. The phagocytes, the white blood cells, see them as invaders. To the tiny clones, these look like billowing white blobs that try to smother and digest them.
So they're being hunted by the Doctor's own body.
Yes. And the Doctor has to trick his own body. In a moment of genius, the clone Doctor short-circuits a nerve to create a fake pain signal, a fake alarm, in his own liver.
A distraction.
A perfect distraction. He basically shouts, "Hey, look over there, my liver's exploding," just to draw all the phagocytes away so they can sneak past.
But that's brilliant. But time is ticking. That 10-minute clock is running down.
It's running down fast. And deep in the brain, in the medulla oblongata, they finally find it. The source of the infection. The nucleus.
What does a thought virus look like when you're standing right in front of it?
It's just as revolting as you'd imagine. The source describes it as a twisted honeycomb of rock, and inside it, there's this prawn-like creature. It has lashing tentacles and a single bulbous, intelligent eye. It's just festering there right in the Doctor's mind.
And it speaks to them, right? This isn't just some mindless beast.
No, it speaks telepathically. And this is where the story gets really philosophical. The nucleus confronts the Doctor, and it defends its own existence. It claims the right to exist, to expand. It says, "You humans, you expand across the stars, you conquer, you colonize. Why can't I?"
It's a chilling point.
It is. It views itself as the next evolutionary step.
Yeah.
It literally says this is the dawn of the age of the virus.
So it's that classic, we are not so different, you and I speech, but it's coming from a giant psychic brain germ.
Precisely.
Yep.
Argues that humanity is the real invader in the galaxy.
Yeah.
And the virus is just doing what nature intends,
Yeah.
survival of the fittest. But the Doctor, of course, points out that domination isn't the same thing as survival.
Now, we're reaching the end of the clones' lifespan. They're literally fading away. How do they win this confrontation?
This is the crucial plot point. This is the moment that saves the day, and it's so clever. The clone Leela, she's fighting off the infection inside the brain. She's immune. She's dying. She's fading away. Her 10 minutes are up. But as her physical form dissolves, her biological material, her very essence, is absorbed into the real Doctor's system.
And because she is Leela.
Because she is Leela, she has that instinctual savage immunity. She's the reject. Her resistance, her antibodies, they are transferred directly to the Doctor. The clone's death provides the cure for the host.
That is almost poetic. The savage part of the equation, the instinct, physically saves the intellect.
It is. It's a perfect resolution to their dynamic. The real Doctor wakes up on the operating table. The metallic virus rash just disappears from his face. He's cured.
Success. Mission accomplished.
Well, partial success. He is cured, yes. But the nucleus, the actual entity inside his head, it realizes it's losing. The host is becoming toxic to it, so it escapes.
Escapes.
It forces its way out through the Doctor's tear duct. Yeah, it's pretty gross. It gets worse. It lands as this tiny microscopic speck in a petri dish in the lab. And Marius, who by this point has been infected by Lo, he gets to the controls of the dimensional stabilizer.
Oh, no.
He reverses the polarity.
He's not going to shrink it.
He takes this microscopic prawn monster, and he grows it to human size.
So now we have a man-sized sentient crustacean monster running loose in the hospital.
A man-sized crustacean monster that still commands a hive mind of infected humans. The Nucleus is now a macro threat. It's a physical monster. It grabs the dimensional stabilizer component from the TARDIS and heads straight for Titan.
Why Titan? What's the plan?
Because Titan is the hive. It's the pre-prepared breeding ground. They've converted the main fuel tanks into this nutrient-rich soup to incubate the swarm. The Nucleus wants to go there to spawn.
And if it succeeds?
If it succeeds, billions of eggs will hatch, and the swarm will sweep across the galaxy unstoppable.
So the Doctor and Leela have to chase it. But they need an antidote, right? They can't fight a whole planet of infected people.
Yes. The Doctor realizes that since he is now immune, his blood contains the antibodies. They quickly synthesize a serum that can cure the infected staff at the Foundation. But for the Nucleus and the eggs, they need something much stronger. They need a killer strain.
A bioweapon designed to fight the virus.
Exactly. They brew up a powerful batch of something they call strain C531. The plan is to get to Titan, dump it into the breeding tank, and kill all the eggs before they can hatch.
So they rush to Titan. And this is where the action really, really ramps up. Titan has been completely converted into a fortress by the infected.
It's a total horror show. The main fuel tank is described as this bubbling, steaming vat of nutrients, and it's just filled with thousands and thousands of tennis ball-sized eggs. The Nucleus is in there incubating them. And Lo and his infected guards are patrolling every corridor.
And the Doctor and Leela are completely outnumbered.
Massively outnumbered. And this is where we get K9's finest hour. The Doctor and Leela are pinned down by blaster fire. They can't get to the tank. And K9 basically says, I got this.
He goes out as a decoy.
He just rolls out into the open and draws all their fire. He zigzags through the corridors, blasting guards, taking hits on his metal chassis. The text describes laser bolts just ricocheting off him.
He's a literal tank.
He is an absolute hero. But he runs on batteries. And in the middle of this firefight, the text describes him running out of power. He defends the Doctor from a final attack by Lo, blasts Lo until he finally collapses, and then K9 just stops. He goes inert. His lights go out. Batteries drained.
Ugh, that's heartbreaking, even for a robot dog.
It raises the stakes so high, K9 is down. In the middle of that scuffle, the container with the serum, the C531, it gets smashed. The antidote is gone.
And the eggs.
The eggs? They start to crack.
Oh no, what comes out?
Giant, malevolent, dragonfly-like creatures, thousands of them. The swarm is hatching. The Nucleus is now fully grown and powerful. The Doctor is trapped. He has no weapon, no antidote, no plan, and an army of giant insects is about to eat him.
This genuinely seems like a game over scenario. There's no way out.
It really does. But the Doctor, in a moment of sheer desperation, remembers where he is. He's on Titan, a moon with an atmosphere that is almost pure methane. And he's in a refueling base full of oxygen tanks.
Methane and oxygen. I see where this is going.
It's the ultimate bluff. He knows he can't fight them. So he rigs a blaster to the door handle with a simple piece of fishing line. He opens a methane valve from the moon's atmosphere. He opens an oxygen valve from the base's supply. He's creating a massive, volatile, explosive gas mixture.
He's making the whole base into a bomb, and he just leaves.
He gets Leela to the TARDIS, and then he taunts the Nucleus one last time. He basically says, you think I'm stuck in here with you. No, you're stuck in here with me. Then he runs. When the giant Nucleus forces the door open to get him, it pulls the string, the blaster fire.
Spark meets gas.
Boom. A massive, massive explosion. The text describes it as a roaring ball of fire. The entire Titan base is incinerated. The infection, the swarm, the Nucleus, everything is sterilized completely by fire.
That is a very, very definitive solution.
It is. And Leela even comments on it as they escape in the TARDIS. She says something like, I thought you didn't like killing. And the Doctor essentially replies that sometimes you have to burn out the infection to save the body. In this case, the body wasn't just him, it was the entire galaxy.
So the immediate threat is gone. They're back at the Bial Foundation. What happens to K9? Is he just scrap metal?
This is the happy ending, the little bow on top of all the horror. They get him repaired. And Professor Marius is preparing to return to Earth. But he says he can't take K9 back with him.
Why not?
Earth customs, weight restrictions, it's all this bureaucratic nonsense, but it works out in our favor.
K9 needs a good home.
He does. And Marius asks if the Doctor would be willing to look after him. But before the Doctor can even give an answer, K9 just zips past them and shoots right into the TARDIS. He's made his own choice. He has adopted the Doctor and Leela as his new masters.
And thus, a legend joins the crew. I love that. He chose them.
He did. And Marius is just happy that his friend, his creation, is going to be in good hands off having adventures. It's a really sweet moment after all the chaos and body horror.
So let's pull back and look at the big picture here. We've covered a lot of ground, from the microscopic to the cosmic. What is the real takeaway from this invisible enemy? What should we be thinking about?
I think it really comes back to that initial conflict we talked about, intelligence versus instinct.
Hmm.
The doctor, the super genius, the man with the most powerful mind, was the most vulnerable. He was the primary target. The TARDIS computer was the first victim.
Right.
The hive mind is the ultimate expression of pure, cold logic. It's efficiency without any humanity, without any soul.
And Leela, the savage, the one who operated on gut feelings, she was the antidote.
Exactly. Her individuality, her gut feelings, her raw biological drive to survive, that was the one thing the virus couldn't hack. It couldn't compute it. And in a world that is, becoming increasingly automated, increasingly connected, sometimes it feels like we're moving towards our own kind of hive-minded thinking. And there is something powerful in that message.
It suggests that our quirks, our instincts, our irrationalities, our rough edges are actually our best defenses.
Right. If you're perfectly logical, you're predictable. If you're predictable, you can be controlled. It was Leela's unpredictability and her fundamental biological otherness that saved the universe. Her instinct saved his intellect.
That is a fantastic thought to sit with. And what about the Nucleus's argument that it had a right to expand, just like humanity does?
Well, that's the other really thought-provoking part, isn't it? It holds up a mirror. It forces us to look at humanity's own expansionist nature. We go to new worlds, we terraform them, we change entire ecosystems to suit us. To some other life form out there, are we the virus?
Are we the invisible enemy?
The Nucleus certainly thought so. It didn't see itself as evil. It just saw itself as a successful species, following its biological imperative.
It's all a matter of perspective.
It is. And luckily, from our perspective, we have a Time Lord and a savage warrior, and now a robot dog on our side.
Absolutely. Well, that wraps up our deep dive into the infection of Titan. It's a story that I think reminds us to trust our gut, to watch out for drifting clouds in deep space, and maybe, just maybe, to appreciate the chaotic, illogical, and beautifully human parts of our own minds.
And if your computer ever starts talking in a slurred, dragging voice, run.
That is very good advice. Thanks for listening, everyone. We will catch you on the next deep dive.
Stay curious.